वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले सोऽयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगे राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वशास्त्रार्थ पीयूष सर्ववेदैक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभु कलिध्वांतोदितादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्ष्य अक्षरायते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुमे। मदेक बंधो मत्संगिन मत्कुरो मन्महाधन मन्निस्तारक मद्भाग्य मदानंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधुता दायिन अति नीचोच्चतारक पानमुंच कदाचिन्मां प्रेम्णार्तकंठयोस्फुर। श्रीमद्भागवत महापुराणम की जय। Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you in today's session. So we will continue our discussions in this unit. We have seen yesterday chapter 66 of 10th canto. Today we will complete chapter 67, which is chapter entitled Lord Balaram slays Dvivida gorilla. So yeah, in the time that we have, this is quite a small chapter, so we can certainly finish this chapter. So just sharing the screen with all of you. So you can see chapter 67. Just a minute. Yeah. So chapter 67, Lord Balarama slays Vivid the gorilla. So this chapter has the description of how Lord Baladev killed this Vivid the gorilla, Vivid the Vanara. who was very much troubling and destroying. Although he was an associate of Lord Ramachandra, but how, because of bad association, he had turned into a very demoniac personality. So Lord Balaram, he killed this Vivida. That is what is the topic of this particular chapter. So we will see this. Text 1. Shri Rajovacha Bhuyoham Shrotum Ichhami Ramasya Karmanaha Anantasya Prameyasya Yadanyat Kritavan Prabhu. So I will have some. Adam Kanan Prabhu, you can read for first 10 verses. Translation.
Yes, Prabhu. The glorious King Parikshit said, I wish to hear further about Sri Balram, the unlimited and immeasurable Supreme Lord, whose activities are all astounding. What else did he do?
Yeah. So Sri Rajovacha, Parikshit Maharaj, he spoke. Bhuyoham Shrotum Ichhami. Again, I wish to hear Ramasya Adbhuta Karmanaha. I wish to hear the activities of Rama, Balarama, who is said to be Adbhut Karma. His activities are very wonderful. Adbhut Karmana. So he is also glorified as Ananta and Aprameya. Lord Balaram, he is also known as Ananta, and also literally meaning that he has unlimited pastimes. So we see that the context before was going on, like you saw in the last chapter, we saw killing of Paundraka. But before that, there was Lord Balramji's visit to Vraja and his pastimes, like him pulling the Kalinti river, splitting her into so many different streams, Yamuna. So all these wonderful activities were being described of Balramji. So Balramji's activities were being described, and then Parikshit Maharaj, he very much wanted to hear Balramji's Leela, because that's what was being described. But then again, in between, Paundraka's killing is described, which is Krishna Leela, which is pastime in which Balramji is not there, right? So Parikshit felt like, okay, we were hearing Balramji's pastimes, and then in between this Paundraka Vadha was described, which is wonderful. But again, he wanted to keep that original topic of Balramji's pastimes intact. So that's why he said, Bhuyo Ham Shrotum Ichham. So this particular pastime in which Balramji killed this Vivida, this is in continuation with last chapter. So in between, the reason Paundraka Vadha, killing of Paundraka, was described only because that pastime happened before. So order was kept in mind by Shukadev Goswami, and that's why he spoke that pastime before. Meaning, when Balramji was in Vraja, that time killing of Paundraka happened. But this particular pastime of Vivida is happening after Balram came back to Dwaraka, after Vraja, right? So this pastime is happening with Balaram and his wife Revati and all the other consorts of Balaram from Dwaraka. This is not happening with gopis of Vraja. So this is why this pastime is being spoken after Paundraka Vadha. So that order was maintained, and Shukdev spoke with the order. So sometimes Shukdev speaks from the orderly pattern, the Leelas. Sometimes he speaks just disregarding the order also in 10th canto. So Shukdev primarily keeps the order of pastimes, but still sometimes he also overrides the order. He is in ecstasy, so he speaks certain thing, and then uh, yeah, sometimes that particular order is changed also by him. The way he describes is sometimes when he's under Premonmad, he's remembering certain pastime, then he just speaks it. And then later, some pastime which has happened before that particular lila is spoken. Like this happens in Bhagavatam many times. Even he does things like we all know in those 12, 13, 14 chapter of 10th canto, how in the 11th chapter he had concluded Kumar Leela. 11th chapter, he had concluded Iti. So in this way, Lord passed his Kumar time. But then again he begins in 12, 13, 14, Kumar Leela. And this way, it appears like, okay, he had closed the topic, but again he's bringing up. No, it's all out of his intense remembrance of a certain pastime, and then he begins to describe it like that. A pastime like meeting at Kurukshetra, Dwarkavasis and Brajvasis meeting at Kurukshetra is described much, much later in Bhagavatam. But that pastime has happened very early. As soon as Lord shifted to Dwarka, that pastime has happened. It has happened, that particular pastime has happened much before things like Rajasuya Yagya or Lord Balaram leaving for Tirtha Yatra or all that. But still in Bhagavatam, you can see it is described much later. So these sort of things are there in Bhagavatam. And Jiva Goswami mentions that this is all because Shukdev is not strictly speaking with chronological order. He is speaking as he is inspired to speak. The remembrance that governs his heart is not exactly orderly or chronological. While a book like Gopala Champu, Srila Jiva Goswami has put all the pastimes in an order. So whichever pastime has happened before, it is placed before. Whichever has happened later, it's placed later. So in Gopal Champu, he does that. He puts the right order of the pastimes. So here also we see that it's not so much about order going for the change, but rather, yeah, Balaramji's Leelas were described, and in between, Paundraka Vadha is described only for the sake of maintaining the order of the pastime. So that's why Bhuyo Ham Shrutum Ichchami. Again, I wish to hear, he says, like that. Also, Vishwan Chakravarti says Shukdev always had a great absorption in Avesha in describing Krishna Leela. So Shukdev, when he would start describing Krishna Leela, so he would get into that Avesh, Krishna Leela Avesha, and then that would just completely overwhelm him, overpower him. So Parikshit was also desirous of hearing Balramji's pastimes. So he reminded him, sort of. He knew that Shukdev's Krishna Lila Avesh is there. So he reminded him. And Ramasya Karma Shrotum Ichchami. I also want to hear the activities of Sri Balarama, who has performed many wonderful pastimes. And Ananta, those are unlimited pastimes. So I wish to hear them. But Aprameya, a fool, an unintelligent person like me, for me it is very difficult to measure or understand those pastimes. Parikshit is saying this. Lord's pastimes are Ananta, but I am not able to understand those pastimes because Lord is also Aprameya. Aprameya, who is immeasurable, whose activities, qualities are immeasurable. Pramatum ashakya. It's difficult to calculate or measure them. So that's why you can speak, O Shukdev. You are very learned and you are empowered, so you can speak so that we can also get to know about Sri Balramji's other pastimes. So this is why he says Bhuviyaha. Okay. So yes. Text 2. Shri Shuka Uvacha Narakasya Sakha Kashchit Dvivido Nama Vanaraha Sugriva Sachiva Sotha Bhrata Maindasya Viryavan.
Sri Shukdev Goswami said, there was an ape named Dvivida who was a friend of Narakasura. This powerful Dvivida, the brother of Manda, had been instructed by King Sugriva. Purport.
No, that's it. Purport I'll discuss. Yeah, you can read only translation. So yeah, Shri Shukdev Goswami continued. So Shri Shukdev Goswami then now begins another story of Balramji. Even the next chapter is again another pastime of Balramji, right? So he speaks about this Dvivida, how he was killed by Lord Balaram. So this Dvivido Vanara, he was a Vanara, this Dvivida, and he was Narakasya Sakha Kashchit. He was a friend of Narakasur. He was Sugriva Sachivaha. Sugriva Sachivaha. So he was a minister to Sugriva, a counselor to Sugriva actually. Sugriva Sachivaha literally means he was a counselor to Sugriva. So this shows, Sridhar Swami says that this shows his power of intelligence. Mantra bala, mantra as in mantrana, counseling. He was a very good counselor to Sugriva. He was not a fool. He was not a fool. He had great intelligence, actually. That's how he could act as a counselor to Sugriva. Sugriva Sachiva. And Bhrata Maindasya Viryavan. And that another aspect of he being the brother of Mainda, who was also very powerful Vanara. And Viryavan, he was a powerful brother of Mainda. So that shows his Shakti Bala, Mantra Bala, and Shakti Bala, or you can say very great physical power. So he was qualified in both ways, actually. He was very intelligent also, and he was also very physically very powerful. So both these brothers, in fact, Mainda as well as Dvivida, these are very powerful and intelligent personalities in Ramayana. So in Ramayana, they helped Lord Ramachandra and they helped Sugriva in various ways. They are spoken about in Ramayana. So this Dvivida, he continued to live from that time, actually. He continued to live for many, many Divya Yugas, in fact, because Ramayana pastime has happened in 24th Divya Yuga, as per Srila Rupa Goswami. Ramayana, in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami says that Ramayana occurred in the 24th Divya Yuga. So which is 4 Divya Yugas before this particular Divya Yuga. 28th Divya Yuga is this. So he lived for a long time, Dvivida. And he was still there when Krishna Leela was happening. But this particular person, because of his great strength, he developed pride. And he also, because of that pride, he became very arrogant. So pride, right? Pride cometh before fall, they say. Pride is such a disastrous thing that it can cause so much of arrogance and then offenses to the devotees or the Lord. So Dvivida also, although he was very powerful and he was an associate of Lord, but then because of his power, great prowess, he became very proud. And because of that pride, he disrespected Lakshmana. he was not very respectful towards Lakshmana. And this particular offense made him fall to the despicable condition of being an associate of Narakasur. So the reason of his fall was the arrogance caused by that pride. And then that in turn made him very fallen. So the root cause, Jiva Goswami says, was the pride actually, the great pride that he had of his strength. So because of that, he became arrogant, he offended Lakshmana, and because of offense to such a Mahat like Lakshmana, Mahad Aparad, so he fell to the degraded condition of being, associate of Naraka. He developed friendship with Narakasur. And then that itself, because Narakasur was very demoniac and envious, so this person also became extremely demoniac. So much so that he then offended Balaram and Balaramji's consorts and Krishna, Dwarakavasis, especially Anartha Deshvasis around Dwaraka, Saurashtra, that Anartha province. He could not do anything in Dwaraka, but he did a lot of he wreaked a lot of havoc in Anartha Desh. So that's how he had fallen to this condition. And this was the reason that he degraded to such a condition, as per Shilajiv Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti. They also say that, it's mentioned that Ramayana and other places also, it is mentioned how Lord Ramachandra is worshipped. And in that worship of Ramachandra, there are these Avarana Devatas, which is personalities around Ramachandra who act as his attendant deities. They are called as Avarana Devatas. So Mainda and Dvividha are also included in Avarana Devatas. They are part of the Avarana Devatas. So in that case, how could this happen to them? So Jiva Goswami gives explanation that actually the Mainda and Dvividha, who are part of Ramayana Leela, they are the expansions of those Avarana Devatas. Avarana Devatas. Those original attendant deities in spiritual world, in Lord Ramachandra's abode, they are Mainda and Dvividha. And in this world, the Mainda and Dvividha that appeared in Rama's Leela, they are actually amshas of those original Mainda and Dvividha. So these are amshas, and this degradation that we see is happening with Dvividha, who is an amsha of that original deity. So original deity or original personality, you can say. So those two who are worshipped with Ramachandra, they are actually eternal associates, and they are very special. But these two personalities who were amshas, in that then Dvividha, he became degraded. Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti also say that the pastime is something like Jaya Vijay's pastime. Jaya Vijay also, we know that in spiritual world, Jaya Vijay, who came as Hiranyaksh, Hiranyakashipu, they were only expansions or amshas of original Jaya Vijay, right? Original Jaya Vijay did not leave the spiritual world. They stayed in the spiritual world, while the amshas, they took these forms. So this pastime is something similar, actually. Just like Jaya Vijay's amsha became Hiranyaksh, Hiranyakashipu, and all that. Similarly, we see here also, these are amshas, Mainda and Dvividha, this way. And this whole pastime was arranged to show the effect of Mahad Aparad. Somebody who is even an associate of Lord Ramachandra, even such a person, by offending Guru, Adi Guru, Lakshmana, what can happen to such a person? That we can see. This is being demonstrated through this particular pastime. So after they are killed, then after Dviveda is killed, then he goes back and just goes back and joins that eternal associate. So this pastime is like in that particular manner. The Amsha is basically acting in that particular manner to drive home a certain point of what is the disaster caused by Mahadaprad. So that's how this pastime has been described over here. So you can see even in purport, this is mentioned by disciples of Prabhupada. The bad association of Naraka was the reaction for an offense Dvivida had committed when he disrespected Lord Ramachandra's brother Lakshmana. So pride caused Lakshmana's aparadh, and that caused him to take association of Narakasur, and then it became all the more, vitiated by, him trying to trouble Balaram and Balaram's associates in this way. Vishwan Chakravarti compares this fall to that of Jaya and Vijay. How we understand this also. Okay, so that is it. Text 3. Sakhyuso pachitim purvan vanaro rashtra viplavam puragrama ghoshan adahat vannim utsrijan.
To avenge the death of his friend Naraka, the ape Dvivida ravaged the land, setting fires that burned cities, villages, mines, and cowherd dwellings.
Yeah. So this person, because he was very angry with the death of Narakasur, when Lord Krishna killed Narakasur, then he became very, very angry and envious, further envious that Krishna had killed Narakasur. So he became antagonistic to Krishna as well as Balaram and also Devatas, because he thought that Narakasur was killed only on the plea of Devatas. We all know that how Narakasur had stolen Aditi's earrings and many other things. So because Devatas, they came and submitted a plea to Krishna to get rid of Narakasur. So he thought that Devatas were also his enemies. And obviously, because Krishna did it, so Krishna Balaram also were his enemies. So Sakyuho, so Pachitim Purvan. So he thought that I can get rid of that debt of my friends, favors on me. Apachiti is that basically getting freed from the debt. So he thought that if I will kill, these people who have killed my friend, as well as if I will trouble their citizens of Krishna Balram's, kingdoms, so then that will cause apachiti, that will cause repayment of the debt that I have towards Narakasur. So that's why this Vanar started doing a lot of Rashtra Viplava. Rashtra Viplava means he started creating great disturbance in the Rashtra. So it was difficult for him to do anything in Dwaraka because Dwaraka was heavily fortified and, Lord was residing there directly. So around Dwaraka, this whole province of Anartha was there. Anartha Desha, Saurashtra. Jiv Goswami says Saurashtra, that particular region. So he did a lot of, wrongdoings over there. He started ravaging these places, just razing everything over there completely. So that is Rashtra Viplava. Puragrama Karan Ghoshan. So he started, destroying all these cities, villages, and mines, all different places, marketplaces, Ghoshan, the cowherd communities. He started burning them. He started destroying all these places, just completely laying waste to all these places. Yeah. So this is described now, how he did this. So that is further description, text 4. Kvachit sa shailan utpatya tairdeshan samachurnayat anartan sutaram eva yatraste mitraha harihi.
Once Dvida tore up a number of mountains and used them to devastate all the neighboring kingdoms, especially the province of Anartha, wherein dwelt his friend's killer, Lord Hari.
Yeah. So all his different activities, mischievous activities are described here. So he was very, very powerful. He also had strength of 10,000 elephants. This Vanara was extremely powerful. Vishnu Puran says he could also change his form. He was a Kama Rupi. This Dvivida could change his form. He could make his form very large. He could make his form very small. He could also change the form completely. So he would use all these different strengths, and then by that he was wreaking a lot of havoc. Kvachit sa shailan utpatya. He could uproot the mountains, tier of mountains, peaks of the mountains, and then he would just throw them on these cities, places in the Anartha. So that just samachurnayat, it just completely powdered the city, literally. Samachurnayat. He devastated the city completely, raised it flat completely. Especially, he was focused on this Anartha Desh because he very much wanted to irritate and trouble Krishna Balaram. So, especially Anartha province, where Yatraste Mitraha Hari, where there was Lord Hari. Uh, Lord Hari Krishna was staying over there. Kvachit samudra madhyastho दोर्भ्याम उत्क्षिप्य तज्जलम देशान नागायुत प्राणो वेला कुले न्यमज्जयत.
Another time, he entered the ocean and, with the strength of 10,000 elephants, churned up its water with his arms and thus submerged the coastal regions.
Yeah, so you can say uh, the whole species of Vanara is typically, it can do a lot of disturbance, right? They can do a lot of utpata. So what to speak of a Vanara like him? If he goes berserk, then he can do so much of uh, devastating activities. So he would, take a huge farm and then go into midst of the ocean, uh, and then by his hands, by his arms, he would splash so much of water that practically the cities around, they would be flooded completely. All the provinces around would be completely flooded, and so many people, uh, uh, all the people and everything else in this place would be destroyed. Naga Yutaprano, he had this strength of 10,000 elephants. And that's why, he could easily do all such things, ripping off the peaks of mountain and throwing them in water, or just getting himself in water and then splashing that water so much that everywhere there is floods. Vela, Kule, Nemache, all the postal cities and everything, it would be drowned actually completely. So he was doing all such wicked activities. Ashraman Rishi Mukhyanam Kritva Bhagna Vanaspatin Adukshayaccha Chakrit Mutrair Agnin Vaita Nikan Khalaha.
The wicked ape tore down the trees in the hermitages of exalted sages and contaminated their sacrificial fires with his feces and urine.
Yeah, he was also very angry on the Devatas. So he thought that these Devatas, they are nourished, they are strengthened by the sacrifices of all the sages, right? So that's why he was very envious and angry on the sages also, because he thought that This is why the demigods become powerful, because of the sages. So he took it upon himself that, okay, he's going to destroy all these ashramas of main rishis. And he was powerful, so he was just destroying all the hermitages of rishis, troubling all these great devotees of the Lord. He would uproot all the trees, destroy all the plantation, and just make that whole place into complete waste and desert land. Not only that, he was so offensive that he would, by his feces and urine, he would contaminate the whole sacrificial arena. Vaitanikan agnin adushayat. The fire of sacrifices was completely spoiled by him. So this was what he was doing. In fact, Vishnu Puran mentions that he was doing all these things, and the whole place became Niswadhyaya Vashatkar. Vishnu Puran says Niswadhyaya Vashatkar. There was no Swadhyaya being done in the hermitages, because he had destroyed hermitages so terribly that there was no chanting of Vedic mantras that was possible. No Swadhyaya was being done, and no Vashatkar also. Vashatkar, you understand? Vashat, it is Vedic sacrifices, just like Swaha. If it is a Vedic sacrifice, then they will say in the end, Vashat, Indraya Vashat, Agnaye Vashat. So that's how. So Swaha and Vashat, these are typically used in Vedic sacrifices. Swadha is used in Pitra sacrifices. Hanta is used in sacrifices for the men. So these are all words, different words. So anyway, point is that Vashatkar, he practically made those promises devoid of any Swadhyaya and Vashatkar. So he was quite a demoniac person who was destroying all education, you can say, and destruction of all education, destruction of people's lives, education, IT, everything like that he was doing. Madan Sundar, you want to ask something? Usually I take questions at the end, but if you are having something urgent
Sorry,
to ask, then
I didn't know about that. So it's up to you. If you want to answer now, you can. It is a very simple question, or we
okay.
can take it. Then I guess one quick question. As you were making the point just some time ago, this is 20th Divya Yuga going on, and Ramayana apparently happened in the 24th Divya Yuga. So our Dveda has been around for a long, long time. So just a quick thought over here. Ramayana had, or Lord Ram army had many great personalities. Not everyone had lived across different yugas for such a long time. Do we know any background? How come he got to live for so long? Was he blessed or cursed by anything?
Yeah, I tried to check about this, Pro, in the places which are quoted by acharyas, like Vishnu Puran is quoted and Harivamsha is quoted. So I also did not get to know, Prabhu, reason why he lived particularly for so long, and especially for this particular Divya Yuga. Yeah. So that question did arise in my mind, but at least not in my knowledge, because I didn't come across in these places.
Sure. Makes sense. This one was curious about it. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Thank you. So that's how he practically made the places devoid of, all good learning and sacrifices and everything else. Text 7. Purushan yoshito driptaha kshmabhradroni guhasusah nikshipya chapya dhat shailai peshakariva kitakam.
Just
Ganesh,
as a
sorry, go ahead. I don't know why was I spotlighted as Ganesh. You asked me to unmute. I'm muting myself.
just as a wasp imprisons smaller insects, he arrogantly threw both men and women into caves in a mountain valley and sealed the caves shut with boulders.
Yeah. So he would just pick up men and women, anywhere, people he would pick up and just throw them into mountain caves and put a huge boulder and just leave them there to die. He was like that. They just were in that way put into those places like a dungeon and left to die over there. Peshakari va kitakam. Just like sometimes there is this wasp or a huge bee that takes small insects and then uh, yeah, imprisons them. So similarly, he also did with powerful men and women also. He was that wicked actually. Evam deshan viprakurvan dushayamscha kulastriyah shrutva sulalitam geetam girim raiva takam yayau.
Once, while Dvivida was thus engaging in harassing the neighborhood kingdoms and polluting women of respectable families, he heard very sweet singing coming from Raivataka mountain. So he went there.
Yeah. So in this way, evam deshan viprakurvan. So in this way, he very much disturbed, very much caused a great disturbance and misery for so many different places. And he was also very evil because he also dushayanscha kulastriyah. So he was extremely disrespectful, and he even polluted many women from respectable families. So that was some, most height of all the degradation that he was doing. So there was now the right time that he should be killed because this person was crossing all the limits. So Balaramji had heard about this, Krishna had heard about this, and then here now he is encountering Sri Balaramji. Shrutva Sulalitam Geetam Girim Raivatakam Yayo. So Lord Balaramji, after coming back from Raja and being with Krishna in Dwarka again, so once he went to this Raivataka mountain. This Raivataka mountain comes in many different leelas actually of Krishna and Balaram. Harivamsh describes a lot of leelas on Raivataka mountain, leelas of even Rukmini and Krishna, Balramji, Revati, uh, other consorts of Krishna. So it appears to be like just like uh, Govardhan mountain is there in Brajalila, and also similarly, this appears to be quite a prominent mountain around home or on home. In its valleys, there are a lot of leelas which are described in other places like Harivamsh Purana. Yeah, Harivamsha and Vishnu Puran and all these places. So Balaramji, he was there in this place along with his consort. Uh, Revati Devi was also there, and many other consorts of Balaramji. They were all there, and they were all very happily enjoying their each other's company there, singing and dancing. Balramji himself was very happy along with all his consorts. So that's where this person went, Vivida, and he wanted to disturb Balramji right there in front of all his consorts. So when he went there, he saw Balaram. So that is described. Tatra pashat yadupatim Ramam Pushkaramadinam Sudarshaniya Sarvangam Lalana Yutha Madhyagam Gayantam Varunim Pitva Madavihvala Lochanam Vibhraj Vibhrajamanam Vapusha Prabhinnam Iva Varanam. Yes.
There he saw Sri Balram, the Lord of Yadus, adorned with a garland of lotuses and appearing most attractive in every limb. He was singing amidst a crowd of young women, and since he had drunk Varuni liquor, his eyes rolled as if he were intoxicated. His body shone brilliantly as he behaved like an elephant in a rut.
Yeah. So when Dvivida saw Balaramji, so actually looking at Balaramji, a devotee should be very, very happy. But then Vivida, as he had become very envious and evil-minded, so when he saw Yadupati, meaning Balaramji, who was actually looking so beautiful, he is beautiful always, but he was specially decorated for the event, for this particular pastime. So he was wearing a beautiful garland of lotuses, Pushkaram Adhinam, and every limb of Balaram was glistening with beauty. He was there amidst his most beautiful consorts like Revati Devi and all others. Uh, He had also drunk this Varuni uh, for the sake of his pastimes with his beloveds. So he was also intoxicated, and he was singing very sweetly for their pleasure. Balramji is singing Gayantam, uh, Madha Vihvala Lochanam. His eyes were intoxicated with that uh, great intoxication of love, actually. And in this way, when he was sparkling in his beauty, he appeared like Varanam. He appeared like an intoxicated elephant. So when Dvivida saw him, instead of becoming happy because he was envious, so he became extremely angry, and he felt that, yes, now I wish to kill this Balaram, and I also wish to teach lesson to all these women. So that's how he became very, very angry with Balram and wanted to now trouble Balram, trouble all his associates who were there. So he started all his mischievous activities over there. Text 11. Dushta shakha mriga shakham arudha kampayan druman chakre kila kila shabdam atmanam sampradarshayan.
Maybe someone else?
Okay, this is, yeah, someone else can read now. Text 11 onwards. So, yeah, just a minute. Prahlad Pranpro, you want to read? Text 11 onwards.
Or
Yes,
can ask
Prahlad
question.
Pranpro.
Can we ask question now or later?
मैं पढ़ सकता हूँ कनकेश्वर.
Actually, Prabhu, this chapter is short. It will be done. Then you can ask questions.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
I think in half an hour it will be completed. So then it's just 24, I think 28 verses. That's it.
Yes,
Not
Prabhuji.
much. Okay. Yes, Madhuseva Prabhu, you can read. Madhuseva Prabhu, you can read.
The direct translation. No? The
Yeah,
mischievous
direct translation.
climb a tree branch and reveal his presence by shaking the trees and making the sound kila kila.
Yeah.
Purport?
So,
Hmm.
no, I'll talk about the purport. So, no problem. So this person, Dvivida Shakha Mrigaha, naturally he is a Vanara, so he was very expert in jumping on the branches here, there. So actually, Vishnu Purana explains that when he came, Balaramji was there with all his consorts, and he was happily singing for them and having his pastimes with them. So this Dvivida came first, and he picked up Balramji's hala and musala. Uh, First, he picked up Balramji's hala and musala that was kept aside by Balramji. Balramji carries, hala, plow, and then musala, his it can be called a club, but it's not exactly club. It's like a bludgeon, a musal, hala and musal. So this musala and hal he picked up, and then he started doing impressions of Balramji. He started mimicking Balramji, this person. So in front of all his consorts, he started, wielding that hala and musala, keeping it on shoulder like Balramji does, and he was walking, doing mimicry of Balramji. So then, naturally, initially, everybody laughed. Even the consorts of Lord very much laughed at him, because a monkey, a Vanara, doing mimicry. So we can understand, right? It's quite a laughable sight. So that's how he started. But then Balramji became very angry on him because he was doing mimicry of Balramji. So then Balramji just, drove him away, just asked him to get lost from there. So when Balramji said that, then he jumped up on nearby trees. And then he started shaking those trees very much. He dropped that halmusal, he jumped on the trees and started shaking the trees to show the strength to Balramji. This is how the monkeys do. You must have seen also in places like, Govardhan or Vrindavan. You can see monkeys, they will climb on a, pole, or they will climb on top of a tree, and they want to shake the whole tree. They want to shake, they just want to show their strength actually. It's not like there is something to eat there. No, they just want to show the strength by shaking something. Now, terribly they will shake this way. So that's how he also climbed on the trees, and then Kampayan Druman, shaking those trees. And he started making kila kila shabda. So that's kilakari or kila kila. That's the sound that the Vanaras make. So that was also imitation of, it was like making fun of Balramji's singing. Balramji was singing and then he was making killa killa sound, just like making a mockery of Balramji's singing. So Balramji sang something, he would make a killa killa sound. Again, another line, he would make some sound. So it was very disturbing to Balramji. He was getting very disturbed by this person. Atmanam Sampradarshayan, showing his prowess, trying to draw the attention of all of them this way. But then right from time the Dvivida came, Balramji was in mode of forgiving actually. Shilaji Goswami mentions in his commentary that as soon as Balramji saw Dvivida, he remembered the service that he had done to Lord Ramachandra. So although he knew that, okay, this Dvivida is also doing a lot of wrongdoings, but then when he came there in the association of Balaram, so he remembered his service only, first thing. So, as Adi Guru, Balaram is remembering the service that he rendered. He did not remember, or rather, that thought of disrespect to him, disrespect done by Dvivida to Lakshmana, that he did not remember, but he remembered his service that he had done. And that's why Balaram, he tolerated, he did not want to hurt this person, Dvivida. He tolerated his mimicry or his picking up hala musala. He tolerated trying to mimic his singing and trying to disturb him. Although Balram gets angry also very quickly, no doubt. He has that intense personality. But here he was tolerating actually quite this particular Dvivida. But then Dvivida, he wanted to irritate, he wanted to trouble. So this way. So Shakha Amrita, right? So they're quoting from Prabhupada that this gorilla named Dvivida, he could climb up on the trees and jump from one branch to another, make the sounds like killa killa. So okay, there's some power shortage here. It will come back, no issues. Yeah, so that's how text 12. Tasya dharshtyam kaper viksha tarunyo jati chapalaha hasya priya vijahasur baladeva parigrahaha.
When Baldeva's consorts saw the apes' impudence, they began to laugh. They were after all young girls who were fond of joking and prone to silliness.
Yeah. So these were all consorts of Supreme Lord Balarama, and they were young women. So naturally, young women, Jati Chapala, they like laughter, they like joking and laughing and all that. So they also, when they saw these activities of this Vanara Kapi, although these activities were impudent actually, and they were also mimicking Balaram and all, but initially they also did not take it very seriously. They just laughed them off. and they saw all these activities, and they were just laughing and giggling amongst themselves that, okay, what an imprudent and what a mischievous Vanara, like that. So, but then he continued to act in a disrespectful way, like that. So that's why then Balaramji, he became very, very angry. Ta helayamasa kapir bhukshepayir sammukha darshayan swagudam tasam ramasya cha nirikshataha.
Even as the Lord Balram looked on, Dvida insulted the girls by making odd gestures with his eyebrows, coming right in front of them and showing them his anus.
Yeah. But then, some mimicry here, there, making faces, that was okay. But then Vanara started crossing all the limits. So, he started making very... keep yourself on mute, please, all of you. So Balaram saw that, and this particular Kapi, Vanara, he started making very inappropriate, lewd kind of gestures towards all the consorts of the Lord by moving his eyebrows and coming in front of them, and even very terrible things like showing the lower parts of his body right in front of them, urinating, doing all these abominable activities. So initially it was, some sort of laughing and mimicry and all, but then these were very evil and disrespectful activities. And Balramji is seeing this in front of Balaram. He had the temerity to do such things. So that's why Balaram became very angry. And even Lord's consorts became now irritated and disturbed by this personality. So then Balram ji thought that now I have to teach him a lesson, because he is crossing all limits of evil doing. Tam gravana praharat krudho balah praharatam varah sa vanchayitva gravanam madira kalasham kapi grihitva helayamasa dhurtastam kopayan hasan nirbhitya kalasham dushto vasam syaspalayat balam kadarthikritya balavan viprachakre madodhataha.
Angered, Lord Balram, the best of the fighters, hurled a rock at him, but the cunning ape blocked the rock and grabbed the Lord's pot of liquor, further infuriating Lord Balram by laughing and ridiculing him. Wicked Dvida then broke the pot and offended the Lord even more by pulling the girl's clothing. Thus the powerful ape, puffed up with false pride, continued to insult Sri Balram.
Yeah. So, see, even at this point of time, Balaramji, he thought that he will just drive away the ape. But then, in order to drive him away, so Balaramji just took a rock and hurled at him. But then Vanara was naturally very expert, so he just dodged that blow. And instead, what he did was he took the cups, kalashas of Varuni that were meant for Balaram, and he started, throwing that away. He started destroying the kalasha. He broke the kalashas, and he was laughing and ridiculing Balaram that what can you do, in that particular manner. So even at this point of time, you can see that Balramji is still in the mood of forgiving only, and just wanted to get rid of him, just wanted to drive him away. But then he started offending in this way. He started even pulling the clothing of Lord's consorts, and there were some accessories there for Lord's pleasure, like a nice bed was there, and on that bed the sheets were there, and canopy was there, all the wonderful pastimes of Lord Shaya and everything. So he not only started pulling the clothes and all, but he went there and he ripped off that place of bedding of the Lord, that Shaya. He ripped off all the clothes in the canopy and the sheets and everything, and just destroyed the whole accessories of pastimes of the Lord. So this was all happening in front of Balaram, we see. So then Balram decided that now this was enough. Tam tasya vinayam drishtva deshamsha tad upadritan kruddho musalamadatta halam chari jighamsaya.
Lord Balram saw the ape's rude behavior and thought of deceptions he had created in the surrounding kingdoms. Thus the Lord angrily took up his club and his plow weapon, having decided to put his enemy to test.
Yeah. So now Balram thought that, okay, I have to kill this person. He's such a Vinayi. He's so rude. He's so offensive. He's crossing all the limits of such egregious behavior. So I have to kill him. He also remembered that yes, this person has troubled so much, so many residents in other places, and he has troubled sages and everything. So now it's the time that this person should be killed, this Dvivida. So then, in order to kill him, he took in his hand his hala and musala, his weapons, and he decided that he wanted to finish off this Dvivida. The word avinayam means without humility. Dvivida, completely lacking in modesty and humility, shamelessly performed the most wicked activities. Lord Balram knew of the great disturbances Dvivida had caused to people in general, apart from the vulgar behavior the ape was exhibiting in the Lord's own presence. The offensive ape would now have to die, like that. So you can see over here that Balramji, in front of Balramji, that same person who had served Ramachandra in such wonderful way, but we can see by the wicked association and offenses, he had gone to such a terrible extent where he was trying to disturb and humiliate, insult Balramji and his consort in such a way. So then there was no other recourse but that the demon would be killed by Balaram. Dvividopi Mahaviryaha Shalamudyamya Panina Abhyetya Tarasatena Balam Murdhani Atadayat.
Mighty Dvivida also came forward to do the battle. Uprooting the sala tree with one hand, he rushed toward Balram and struck him on the head with the tree trunk.
Yeah. So just as Balram took Hal and Musala, so he also wanted to fight with something. So he took this Shala or Sala, looks very huge trees. So he just uprooted and used the trunk of that particular tree to fight with Balaramji. In fact, he was also adept in fighting. So he just appeared in front of Balaram and quickly he wanted to give a blow on Balramji's head. He struck him in the head with that huge tree trunk. But then Balaram, he was unfazed and he just held that on his head by his hands. He caught that particular blow. Tam tu sankarshano murdhni patantam machalo yatha pratijagraha balavan sunandena hanachatam.
But Lord Sankarshan remained as motionless as a mountain and simply grabbed the log as it fell upon his head. He then struck Dvivida with his club named Sunanda.
But Balramji, he was not at all fearful. He just remained motionless, and when Dvivida was hitting him on the head, he just held by one hand. He just caught that particular tree trunk, and with his another hand, he only gave a blow. He gave a strike, struck Dvivida with his musala, with his club. Sunanda, which basically means musala. Sunanda is the name of Balramji's musala, bludgeon that he has with him. So, musala hatamastishko vireje raktadharaya girir yatha gairikaya praharam nanu chintayan punaranyam samudkshipya kritva nishpatram ojasa tena hanat susankruddhas tambalah shatadachinat tatonyena rusha jagne tam chapi shatadachinat. You can continue, Prabhu, reading. I think just 7
Struck on the
verses.
skull by the Lord's club, Dvida became brilliantly decorated by the outpour of the blood, like a mountain beautified by red oxide. Ignoring the wound, Dvida uprooted another tree, stripped it of leaves by brute force, and struck the Lord again. Now enraged, Lord Balram shattered the tree into hundreds of pieces, upon which Dvida grabbed at another tree and furiously hit the Lord again. This tree too, the Lord smashed into hundreds of pieces.
Yeah. So when Lord hit him, when Lord struck Dvivida with his musala, so then naturally that uh, had a huge impact on him, and it started outpouring of blood started. Uh, he, his skull cracked, but then still this Dvivida was very powerful. So he, although so much of outpour of blood was there, he ignored the wound and he uprooted another tree to hit Balramji. So trees were his weapons, tree trunks that he was just effortlessly uprooting. Those were his weapons. So he again struck the Lord. But now Balramji, he used his hala and musala, and he just shattered the tree into hundreds of pieces. Again, the Veda took another tree and wanted to hit Balram. Again, Balramji shattered that particular tree into hundreds of pieces. So like this, it was happening. He was picking up trees and he was trying to hit Balram with that, and Balramji was just breaking those tree trunks into hundreds of pieces. So here also it is mentioned that Balramji sort of little bit played with the demon, played with this Dvivida. It could have been very easy for him to finish him off, but then, yeah, he also sort of had some fun with him, where he was fighting with him. He was trying, Dvivida was trying so much, but still Balramji, he could not do anything to Balramji. एवं युध्यन भगवता भग्ने भग्ने पुनः पुनः आकृष्य सर्वतो वृक्षान् निर्वृक्षम अकरोत् वनम.
Thus, fighting the Lord, who again and again demolished the trees, he was attacked with Dvida, kept on uprooting the trees from all the sides until the forest was left treeless.
So that particular place, that was a section of the forest. Practically, he made the whole forest nirvriksham, complete deforestation. He took away, or he uprooted all the trees. This way, the whole forest, that particular region became devoid of trees. ततो मुञ्चत् शिलावर्षं बलस्योपरि यमर्षितः तत्सर्वं चूर्णयामास लीलया मुषलायुधः.
The angry
Yes,
ape then released a rain of stones upon Lord Balram, but the wielder of the club easily pulverized them all.
Yeah. So after the trees, huge tree trunks were over, then he decided to take huge boulders, huge stones, and throw them on Balaram. So he started picking, so many stones, huge stones, and practically causing rain of those boulders on Balaram. This is a place, mountainous place, so naturally a lot of boulders, huge stones, trees, everything. So he was Shila Varsham. He literally had shower of those stones on Balramji, like that. But then Balram Churna Yamasa, by his Musala, he was just pulverizing all those stones. So Musala, he used like a baseball bat, and he was just pulverizing them all. As the stones were being thrown, Balramji was hitting every stone and then pulverizing it this way. And there, even today, there are many sports wherein people enjoy striking a ball or similar object with a stick or a bat. This sporting propensity exists originally in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all baseball or cricket or whatever, in original form. Krishna Balram, they must be playing. So that is what is mentioned by disciples of Prabhupada. Sabahu Tala Shankasau Mushtikritya Kapishwaraha Asadya Rohini Putram Tabhyam Vakshasya Rujat.
Vida, the most powerful of the apes, now clenched his fist at the end of his palm tree shaped arm, came before Lord Balram and beat his fist against the Lord's body.
Yeah, so the tree trunks were useless, right? They could not do any harm to Balaram. And then the stones, the boulders, they could not do any harms to Balaram. So he ran out of tree trunks. Dvivida ran out of tree trunks and also boulders. Then he decided finally that I will do Mushti Yuddha only. I will fight by my own fists. I'll punch him and finish him off. So, clenching his fists, he attacked Balramji and he tried to beat Balramji with his fists. Yadavendropi tam dorbhyam tyaktva mushalalangale jatravabhyadartayat kruddha sopatat rudhiram vaman.
The furious lord of the Yadavas then threw aside his club and plough, and with his bare hands hammered a blow upon Deva's collarbone. The ape collapsed, vomiting blood. Balram Ji ki jai.
Jai. So Balramji also, when this Dvivida came with fighting with his fists, so Balramji also then kept his Halam Musala aside. If Dvivida was Nirayudha, weaponless, so Balramji thought I should also not fight with weapons. So Balramji also, he kept his Halam and Musala aside and he started with fighting with his mushtis. But then Balramji just gave one blow by his arms, by his fist. He just gave one blow on his collarbone and the demon just fell flat. He just fell down, vomiting blood. Right, the collarbone. That's one of the in fighting, even in kung fu's and all. You must be knowing that hitting on the collarbone, that's considered to be the blow to kill. That's it. They also target on these delicate parts where if just one blow and finished off, like that. These ways. So Balramji is obviously he's super expert in fighting. So he just gave one blow on the collarbone, and then the ape collapsed, vomiting blood. Finished. Chakampe tena patata satanka savanaspatihi parvatah kurushardula vayuna naur ivam bhasi. Vayuna, okay. Vayuna naur ivam bhasi.
When he fell, for timer among the Kurus, Raivataka mountain shook along with its cliffs and trees, like a wind tossed a boat at sea.
Yeah, so when in this way he dropped dead, Dvivida dropped dead. So Chakampe, the whole place trembled actually. It was like along with all the mountain peaks and plants and different water bodies on that mountain, entire Raivataka, it just shook. Example is given like Vayuna Nauri Vambhasi, just as a huge ship, if it falls in the water, then how we see that there is a huge splash and it's a huge sound that it makes, right? So similarly, when this personality, this huge person, Dvivida, when he fell on the ground, the whole Raivataka mountain, it shook. Jaya Shabdo Namah Shabdah Sadhu Sadhu iti Chambare Surasiddha Munindranam Asit Kusuma Varshinam. Yes,
In the
Prabhu.
heavens, the demigods, perfect mystics and great sages cried out, "Victory to you, obeisances to you, excellent, well done," and showered flowers upon the Lord.
Yeah. So all these demigods, siddhas, sages, devotees, they started congratulating Balram for this act by saying Jai, Jai, Jaya Shabda, Jai, all victory unto you, all glory unto you. Namah, obeisances unto you. Sadhu, sadhu, very well done, very perfectly accomplished task. All these jayakars and namakars, namaskaras and sadhukaras, all of them, and they started reverberating the sky. And they also showered the flowers and all other things that accompany whenever Lord performs wonderful pastimes like Apsaras dancing and Gandharvas singing, glories, everything, that happened. Evam nihatyad vividam jagadvyati karavaham samstuyamano bhagavan janaisva purama vishat.
Having thus killed Vida, who had disturbed the whole world, the Supreme Lord returned to his capital as the people along the way chanted his glory, Jai Jai.
Yeah, thank you so much. So in this way, Dvivida's killing happened, and he was Jagat Vyatikara. Right? He was Jagat Vyatikara. He was disturbance to the whole world, actually. He was such a disturbance. So when Balramji killed him, everybody was so happy, including all the demigods and sages and everyone. So in this way, Balramji continued his pastime there at that place. It is mentioned in the commentaries that the arrangements of Balramji's pastimes were revived there, and Balramji, he performed all his wonderful pastimes with Revati and all the devotees, other consorts of his. And then having performed those pastimes, then he came back to Dwaraka. So Dvivida could not spoil the party of Balramji. He made it, Balramji made sure that everything that he wanted to, all the pastimes that he wanted to perform, they indeed performed over there. And then Balramji came back to Dwaraka along with his consorts. So that is what, this is a small chapter that we have seen. Tomorrow we'll continue with this next chapter. So at this point of time, it is completed. I will not start the next chapter today. So in case any of you need to leave, if anyone wishes to ask any questions, you may stay back. Hare Krishna. Radha Kunj Bihari Prabhu, you have raised hand, so please ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This two questions. One is when they say just technical, sadhu, sadhu, that sadhu means devotee and sadhu, sadhu means also glorious, glorious, is it? Which
No,
is the...
no. Yeah, okay. So I'll answer this, then you ask another. See, Prabhu, sadhu, when they say, that does not mean a devotee there. Sadhu there means that samyak kritam. Sadhu means, oh, well done. This is wonderfully done. If they wanted to say somebody as a sadhu, meaning a devotee, then the form should have been sadho, just like guru, guru. Similarly, sadhu, sadho. So you want to say, oh devotee or oh great soul, you would not say sadhu, you would say sadho. So that's why sadhu, whenever it comes in the verses, it means samyak, perfect, very well, wonderful. That's how the meaning of sadhu is there. Whenever the questions are glorified as sadhu, like Sudha Goswami also glorifies, right? Sadhu Prushtam. So that means you have very very appropriately, perfectly questioned me. So that's what is the meaning of sadhu, Prabhu.
So there are two meanings actually, and according to context, it has to be applied.
No, I'm saying that only. The word sadhu, it does not have two meanings. If you are seeing the word as sadhu, it has only one meaning there. It is not having two meanings. If the word sadhu, if you want to use it, so that's why the knowledge of Sanskrit is needed, Prabhu. It would become sadhuhu. Or if you want to call out a devotee as, oh devotee, then it will become sadho. But the word there is sadhu, it is. So sadhu means, well, very well accomplished. That's all. It will be. So the forms of the words have to be appropriate to take that meaning as a devotee or great soul. So if you can know those forms, like sadho is that form, sadhave, sadhuhu, these are the words. So then you can say that the word means devotee. Otherwise, it is not meaning devotee here.
Okay. Secondly, so Dvivida, when Balram kills someone, what is his destination? Having done seva to Ram, and now what is his destination? Is there any commentary on that?
For Dvivida, it is mentioned because he is expansion of the original Avaran Devata. So once this pastime is finished, Prabhu, he just merges back into that particular Avaran Devata. So it is like ending, this pastime is ending. So you can say that he is getting liberated. I mean, nobody comments like that, but this comment is mentioned that this after the pastime is over, Jiva Goswami and Sanatan Goswami mentioned that after this pastime is over, Dvividas, they join back the original Dvivida and Mainda. I mean, Dvivida only, not Mainda. Mainda's history is not like this. It is not spoken anything like this. Dvivida especially, Dvivida's. So he joins back in the original Dvivida, who is Avaran Devata. So that's how we can see that there is no more further pastime over here.
So this Avaran Devata is he goes to Rama's pastime, or what is that Avaran Devata mean?
Yeah, these are Prabhu transcendental associates of Ramachandra in Saket Dham.
Okay,
So
okay.
whenever you worship Ramachandra, so there are these personalities also who are worshipped, like Rama Darbar is there. Similarly, there are Avaran Devatas furthermore. So in that, all these personalities like Mainda and all of them also come. So they are in Vaikuntha actually. Vaikuntha meaning here, Lord Ramachandra is about Saket.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yes. Shuddha Chitta bro, you want to ask him?
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for wonderful class. I just had one doubt. Generally, when these demons like here, they did a lot of disturbance and killed many people and lot of difficulties. One just small doubt, like those people who suffer because of these activities of demons. You see, I just want to know, is it according to the karma only they get these reactions, or what's like?
Yes, Prabhu. So, see, usually speaking, Prabhu, I mean, it is mentioned, acharyas or commentaries, they mention that, okay, why such a thing happened, that somebody had to suffer in that province or like that. So now here, Anartha Deshvasi is suffering in that particular manner. Why it happened, I was looking for those comments. I didn't find any. Typically, Jiva Goswami says that in Lord's Leela, if you see also some people suffering and all like that, so he arranges in such a way that those who deserve to get some sort of punishment like that, only those are placed. Like I remember in Vraja Leela, if you see, uh, all the children that Putana killed, so they were, as per Jiva Goswami, before coming to kill Krishna, all the children that were killed by Putana were all the demoniac children who were from Kamsa's party. He mentions that in that. And that's how, when they were killed, Putana had rendered some service only to Krishna by killing those demons. Yeah, he says that, And then in Gokula, when she came, so she could not kill anyone before because the first child she came across was Krishna. So in Gokula, Vrajamandal, she could not kill anyone actually, because Lord only was the first child and he only killed him. But before that, yeah, but before that, she had killed many children, and he says very clearly that those were Kamsa's party children, and that was a service rendered by her. This. So there he mentions this principle that in Lord's Leela, sometimes these personalities are killed, but then he arranges that those appropriate people are only killed, those who deserve to be. But now, when it came here in Anartha Desha's residents getting troubled, so exactly that kind of comment is not there. So the principle is there, but I can't say for sure that that is what is happening here also. One thing is mentioned that when, like Jeev Goswami mentions this in the end, that when Dvivida was killed, the people whom he had trapped in mountain caves, they also automatically were delivered. He says that they did not die. They, as soon as Dvivida was killed, so the whole thing that those people were, they also got freed that way. But it is mentioned that he could indeed trouble and kill some people naturally if he's doing so much of utpata. So naturally, some people will be troubled by that. So were they by their own karma, they had to suffer like that or not? At least here in this chapter, he's not making that comment. But as I said, that certainly, Lord allows such things to happen, considering all their prior background and like that. So that's what I will say.
Yes, true. Thank you. And Mahinda, about Mahinda, he was went back with Lord Ram. Something mentioned about him.
Mahinda was also there, but Mahinda's degradation is not mentioned as far as I have seen. No. Or if any of you know more, you can tell. But Mahinda's only Dvivida's degradation has been spoken. Even in the commentaries, the degradation, the two brothers, in that only Dvivida is highlighted. Mahinda is not highlighted. Because Dvivida only was offensive to Lakshmanji. So it seems quite appropriate that he is the one who degraded to this extent.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Arjun. Okay. Samapan Gopro.
Can I ask who?
Yeah. You can.
My question is about this. Acharyas are telling it is a rule. The important lesson here is Mahat Aparad. However, it is traced root as pride to bad association, then Mahat Aparad. So my question is there any description of that like how did he disrespect Lakshman or why he became pride? Pride of strength is mentioned. So is there any reason of it? Because there are so many powerful associates of Lord, but everyone becomes proud. So, and is there any reference for that and any incidents of disrespecting Lakshman? Like there is some incidents where Sugriva disrespected, no? Like that?
Not in my knowledge, Prabhu. As far as the reason for his pride is mentioned, Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami are mentioning that it was because he had excessive strength. But yeah, there are so many others also who have excessive strength. They didn't become proud. Why he became proud? So yes, that is not mentioned. Yeah, he had that pride. He had that issue of pride. Certainly, that's all is mentioned. And then it is mentioned that he did not see Lakshmana as very powerful. He saw Lord Ramachandra as very powerful, but he had doubts with Lakshmana's strength. That is what is mentioned by commentators. So now in Ramayana, where that particular episode comes in, where we see that he's offending Lakshmana, some details of that. And I could not locate, Prabhu, personally, that episode in Ramayana. It must be there, obviously, Acharyas are mentioning. But yeah, I could not at least get that information. I know some episodes of Mahinda and Dvivida and about their strength. They making observation of the bridge of the Lord. So those few pastimes I remember. But where he offended Lakshmana, especially from Ramayana. It must be there, but yeah, not in my knowledge. Please.
Okay. Thank you. And other thing, it's very laudable to, it's very great to see the mood of Adi Guru.
Yeah,
That again and again, Jiva Goswami or one Acharya is mentioning, he's remembering his service, he's remembering his.
Jiva Goswami is mentioned.
So it's a very amazing thing. It's very difficult if someone insults, then remembering his contribution. So it's quite, thank you for sharing that.
Very true. Balramji, Jiva Goswami said that as soon as he arrived there, instead of remembering all the torture that he has done, he remembered, oh, this is servant of Ram. He has done so much good. Like that he remembered. So we can see that nature of Balramji's compassion, certainly. But then, yeah, he started doing some things which were unacceptable.
So it's quite difficult to bring in that mood. Actually, like Adi Gurus, the spiritual masters are quite forgiving. But when it comes down to representative, it's not easy. We cannot, what you can say, artificially do it also. So it's
Yeah, very true.
profound mood when someone does some mistake or some inappropriate activity. So generally the focus is that, but it's a very amazing. I don't know how we go closer to this mood. Any thoughts about that?
You are all experts in that, better than me. See, personally, what helps is Prabhu. I mean, all of you probably know and practice better than me, but what I see is, Prabhu, if we can focus on contribution of a person, then that very much helps. In general, if we can see contribution of a person, how he is contributing, um, not that the person has to be as per our own conception of what bhakti is and what seva of bhakti is. If we can give up that attachment to our own opinion of and idea and conception of what ideal devotional service is or what ideal service is, what is the most productive service and all that. So if we are not attached to those opinions, then I think it is easy to see people's contributions and then appreciate them, have that particular have that particular kind of appreciation. So unless until one sees the aspect of contribution, some good things that the person is doing, I think it will be difficult to rather forgive or not see the aspect of doshas which are there in everybody. So one focuses so much on seeing the positive aspect of contribution, then naturally one can become forgiving, one can become neglectful, not neglectful, but one can turn a blind eye towards the faults and all that. Again, with all this by saying that as a general Vaishnava, we have we desire to focus on good contributions of people rather than so much on negativity. If one has a specific service like that, one needs to correct people, then it is very important that he does that. But where do you dwell? Where do you dwell? That becomes very important, right? Do you dwell on a person's negative things or do you dwell on his great contribution, positive things? And with that, some doshas may be there. So you try to correct those doshas. But I see that oftentimes, nature, one's nature may be like this, that, okay, you do a lot of good things, then person may not be looking at that, but one small mistake and you just pounce on it, just want to rip him off for that particular thing. So that kind of attitude is not good. We are seeing here the opposite only. Balramji is, in fact, turning a blind eye to so much of bad that he has done, and he just remembering the service that he has. But then, yeah, as Adi Guru, he needs to also set right the situation, so he does that. So personally, I would see it that way, Prabhu. Appropriate occasions, but in general, we would like to dwell on the positive contributions of devotees. That will in turn naturally make qualities like forgiveness and all very prominent in our life. This is what I feel.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Raji. Just one thing, I just coming from Ujjain, so I was hearing Prabhupada's dealing with some people. So Shrutakirti Prabhu was telling there was one person in Hawaii. So Prabhupada actually went there to get him back, not to chastise him. And he asked him that, what did I do that you have to leave us? So that kind of thing. And many devotees mentioned about Paramahansa Bhakti Charu Maharaj saying, 3 points. Never leave ISKCON. GBC's ultimate authority and all that. That mood of forgiveness and all. We see that. However, but there are some actions which are taken for someone like, you leave ISKCON. So that happens, and administratively it has to be done also sometimes. But how do we see that actually? Because this doesn't seem to be the mood which is coming from top, where there is forgiveness, and that cannot be artificially done also, right? So
No, some of them were directly mistakes, bro. I mean, it's a whole history of ISKCON is such a whole thing. Expelling an ISKCON has been done to some devotees, and they were proper mistakes actually, which were understood later to be mistakes. And there are even forgiveness begged for that it was a mistake, that someone was expelled from ISKCON. Think when he pointed out at the whole thing of this zonal acharya system and all. But then the reaction was different only. So later they realized that what was done was not right, actually. It was a mistake that way. So within ISKCON's history also, it's not like all the decisions were taken by the kind of maturity that Prabhupada had, and they were also young devotees, not so much mature. So many times some decisions were taken and then they realized later that it was not right thing to do. But then practically that devotee was out of ISKCON, and so much of negativity and bitterness for a valid reason, because you were expelled for no good reason actually. So that has happened, bro. So in many cases they are also mistakes. I mean to say they cannot be justified. So this overall principle of forgiveness and all, it also needs maturity. So that maturity, our own movement, it took some time to develop that kind of clarity, maturity. Initially, it was not so much there, but slowly over a period of time, certainly it was developed, and then the decisions are more balanced and all that. So at least from our own side, expelling somebody from ISKCON and all, so that has to be really justified on all the grounds. Otherwise, Prabhupada wanted clearly devotees to stay. Even if somebody may not continue in that particular service, you may give him another service or a very smaller scale of service. But the point is that ISKCON is a house where everyone can stay. That point has to be remembered. Unless and until something is like so abominable, so egregious, and so destructive to the whole society that there is no choice but to expel a person. So in such cases it is, but at least I can recount 4 to 5 cases of expelling where now they feel that it is a mistake. We should not have expelled these people. That, so it's also out of immaturity sometimes. Take care, bro. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Arjuneshwar, bro. Yeah, thank you. Arjuneshwar, bro. We will stop with your question.
I think Sudhachit Prabhu is raising hand.
Acha, Shuddha Chitta Pro is also raising.
Yeah, we three are
Shuddha
staying.
Chitta Pro. Okay, three Devas are here. Okay. So yes, Shuddha Chitta Pro.
This is
Please tell.
Sanghe Shakti, 3 hands, 1 hand up, all 3 are able to ask.
So you meant to say there are more than 3 questions or what?
Ask.
Usually, all this happened due to disrespect of Dravida to Lakshmana. So Prabhupada also says in ISKCON, if you love me, love my dog. Means, like, if you love a person, you have to love his subordinate also. Like we may have such a cases that we may love the person but may not love his contemporary person. Like because he was a Lakshmana, so great personality, he got reaction like that. Or if we don't like such a person, the severity goes like that, or any Vaishnava.
No. Okay. Yeah, this principle is clear, bro. Mahad aparad has a mahad phala. Very great offense to some very great devotee. That will have a very severe consequence. So mahad aparad janit. So if it is a mahad aparad, somebody like Lakshmana or pure devotees of the Lord, that will generate a very severe reaction. But if it is not a mahad aparad, it is still a serious thing, but then it will not generate that kind of trouble. It will generate a lower level of trouble in one's spiritual life. One may lose enthusiasm, one may lose taste in chanting, or some things like that. So in general, aparad is deadly only, but mahad aparad is very deadly. Mahad aparad can cause extremely disastrous consequence. Okay, so it is proportionate very clearly. Amongst the sadhakas, Vishwanath Chakravarti mentions that amongst the sadhakas, it is quite natural that they will become offensive to each other. Meaning that not that they should become, but they become because it is sadhakas. It is conditioned, so it happens. But then those results are not as disastrous as mahad aparad, some offense being done to a pure devotee or acharya or personality like Lakshmana or someone that will be very, very, very deadly. Some great sage is offended. But then, yes, still it has those aparadhas also cause but troubles, right? Jiva Goswami speaks about 5 kinds of effects that happen by offenses which are there even amongst the sadhaka bhaktas. So he talks about all that in Bhakti Sandarbha. So, great disinterest in the topics of bhakti and interest in all these other things, mundane things, also becoming lazy in practice of bhakti. Like that, he describes 5 different effects of. So there, the offense is not just mahad aparad, but any general aparadhas cause these sort of things. Mahad aparadhas can cause big disastrous consequences. So it is proportional. So no offense is to be taken lightly, but it is also true that it depends on the severity. No doubt, it is like. So especially with great souls, one can be ultra careful. Especially if one is seeing some very great soul and you are not sure, so we can be very careful not to judge and offend in any way. That is the thing. Okay. Arjuneshwar Prabhu, yes.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji, there are some question by devotees on also. I'm just adding here. So Manda.
They're in chat or what?
They are in chat to me. They have given. So the Manda and Divida, they are Nitya Siddhas, and they were expansion of the deities. This Anvatar. So Prabhuji, so they merged into that deity once again. They were Ansas. So they were showing some pastimes of the Lord that by offenses one can fall down. And again, because they were the associates of the Lord, they got delivered by after killing. Correct. It is like that. For Jai Vijay, they were cursed and then they went back after again 3 times killing.
It is true. There are some differences. Common principle is being highlighted. Common principle is that in both the cases, there was some plan of the Lord in terms of teaching something. So just as Jai Vijay's pastime, primary reason why it happened was the yuyutsa, the desire to fight of the Lord. But then through that also so many other things are taught, like how one should not disrespect Brahmanas. Third canto, 16th chapter, it teaches so many things, right? How Brahmanas, more than Brahmanas, Vaishnavas are dear to the Lord, and how one should not offend great souls, and all those other things which are like Loka Shiksha, they are there. So the common point is being highlighted. Differences are obviously there. The common point is this, that in both these cases, certain Lok Shiksha was to be driven home. Lok Shiksha meaning Shiksha for the devotees also. And that's why this happened. So in a way, these personalities, they cannot be seen as just any other demon who is because of his own evil nature, he's being offended, he's offending the Lord or like that, like Pondrak Vasudeva, all such personalities. But here it is special, they were amshas in that way. So that's all. Jiva Goswami is speaking on that common point. Baki differences are there, Mainda and Dvivida, they are staying in the material world and then continuing to offend or like that. As far as these personalities are concerned, we see that they had those 3 births and then they went back. Also, the whole pastime of Jai Vijay is happening in the spiritual world, right? Here, nothing is happening in the spiritual world. They are coming here, and here in this Leela, which is there on Bhumi, there it is happening. But there it is happening in the spiritual world itself. Jai Vijay, they are stopping Kumaras in the entrance of Vaikuntha, which is Rama Vaikuntha, of course, not the Mahavaikuntha. Vaikuntha within the material world. But yes, it is Vaikuntha still. So those differences are there only, no doubt.
Yes, Prabhuji. Okay. So Prabhuji, okay, next question is, what is when Balaramji, when he kills, like Krishna kills, they get liberated. Or the lowest level is, you can say, Sayujya, and everything is beyond that. But when Balaramji is killing, is there any laws, means norms?
See that Hatari Gati Dayaka speaks about Krishna and Vishnu. It compares these 2 personalities. Balramji's special any mention is not there. We can take a look at the personalities killed by Balaram. Is there any one of them whose liberation is talked about?
Yeah. Now the Pralambasura and Dhenuka.
Yeah. Okay, bro. In Hatari Gati Dayaka, Krishna and Vishnu is compared certainly. Balramji, I will see. I don't know. Precisely, I don't remember wherever that discussion is coming in Priti Sandarbha or in Bhakti Sami Sindhu, there is only difference between Krishna and Vishnu. Now, Balaramji is also there in between. So, if something like that is there, I'll see.
Okay, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in this pastime, we saw that you said that there was Revati was also there. So these were the gopis of Balaramji, or they were the queens of Balaramji?
Queens of Balaramji.
Not gopis.
Queens, yeah, not gopis. I said that in the beginning that this pastime is not happening with gopis. This pastime is with Balramji's Dwaraka's queens, headed by Revati, and all other consorts, associates, maid servants, and all.
Okay, one more question, Prabhuji. When you said that Mahat Aparad, so just I wanted to, because in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu it's clearly mentioned, Mahat means Shastra Yukti Nipuna, and Dridha Nishchaya, and then means, so this quality Shastra Yukti Nipuna means if we put any like question, like he can convince with a hardcore materialist also, Mayavadi also, and he can turn him into the pure devotee. So then I'm asking question. So then Shastra Yukti Nipuna means what? He should be able to knowing all the Vishnu Puran, this Puran, that Puran, and then he should be knowing the Sandarbhas, everything, or he should only be knowing just like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. I'm just asking this thing. So what do you mean by
what you quoted is not exactly definition of Mahat. It is definition of Vaidhi Bhakti's Uttam Adhikari.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shastre Yukto Chanipuna, that one. So Prabhu, that is an Uttam Adhikari within the category of Vaidhi Bhakti. So an Uttam Adhikari there is defined in that manner. And the definition, as it says, the Vaidhi Bhakti's Uttam Adhikari has to be a very great expert in Shastra, which means that he knows the Siddhant of Bhakti in and out, Rasa Tattva, and everything, Guru Tattva, Rasa Tattva, all these aspects. So if you see the commentary of that section, it is mentioning about knowing the Siddhant in and out. Now, it need not mean that one knows all the Puranas, this, that, and exhaustively all 108 Upanishads. But Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva, he is very clear. It's not like you ask him something from Bhakti Tattva, very subtle thought from Bhakti. See, I'm not saying take anything like subtle thought of Bhakti from Bhakti Sandarbha. So if the person is not able to answer it, it is not called Shastre Yuktocha Nipun. Okay. So one may not be able to explain remember everything in terms of, okay, this is mentioned here, this is mentioned there. But do you know the concepts? Do you know those subtle thoughts, Sukshma Vichar? Do you know these things? If one doesn't know it, then you don't call him Uttam Adhikari because he's lacking on that aspect of knowledge. So that is how a Vaidhi Bhakti's Uttam Adhikari is defined. But if you see these terms, they differ when we talk about Raganuga Bhakti or like that. So now within the realm of Raganuga Bhakti, that kind of definition is not needed. If one is having that aspect of, asakti, level of asakti in bhakti or ruchi or like that. So one has already entered into the Raganuga realm. Now there so much of Shastra apeksha is not there, the knowledge of Shastra. That person may not be knowing Shastra in and out, here, there, anything he can explain. No, not at all. But the attachment that is there for Shastra, the attachment that is there for Bhakti, the taste for Bhakti, bhajan vishayak ruchi, bhajaniya vishayak asakti, all that is there in him. And he is just thorough with that. So that's how you have to see that the definition of Uttama Adhikari that is applied. So it is applied specifically over there for the Vaidhi Bhakti realm. So that's how within process of devotional service that we follow Raganuga, if somebody is on the level of prema, such a person is considered Uttama Adhikari. And such a person may not know, all the subtleties and very technical details of the Siddhanta and all that. They may not know. But if they have Krishna prema, then we accept them as Uttama Adhikari. That way. This will not be there if you take Vaidhi Bhakti. The realm of Vaidhi Bhakti at the level of prema, they are, it is Ishwar Mahima prema. So they have to be learned scholars of Shastra. There is just no getting rid of that. They have to be thorough end-to-end scholars of Shastra. So when we are cultivating bhakti and we are taking the path of Vaidhi, then expected is that in order to come to the level of Uttama Adhikari, or you can say that Uttama Adhikari, that's the term that is used, yes. So then one has to know extensively the Shastra, because the path is of Vaidhi Bhakti, no doubt one has to extensively study Shastra and know these things. And so exalted devotee who does not know Siddhanta, so that aspect, it may be there within the realm of Raganuga Bhakti. But then the point is that those who are Uttam Adhikaris, those who are very super qualified devotees, they will actually know all the Siddhantic aspects also, and all the great exalted love of devotion, that aspect also. So you have to put them in the right categories, Prabhu. In Raganuga Bhakti, the Shastra Apeksha consideration is little less. So that's why they can be accepted that way.
Prabhuji, you were saying that one can bypass directly and go to Raganuga without this.
Of course, that's the point. Yeah, it is. There are two different markas. There is Raganuga and there is Vaidhi. So one can. These are two different markas, Prabhu. These are not two steps. So one can take Raganuga aspect also. Although one may not be on Raganuga level, one may not be on Raganuga's level, but the cultivation can begin from Raga. And there is another cultivation which can begin from Vaidhi. So Vaidhi, Raganuga, and Bhava Prema, or it can be Raganuga Bhava Prema. So that is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Siddhanta. So we follow the path of Vaidhi, Raganuga, Bhava Prema. That way.
So we are not given Raganuga in the beginning, correct? Na?
No, that is not how we in practice. We as followers of Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta and all, we follow the path of Vaidhi Bhakti and further. We are also practitioners of Raganuga only, but the way we follow is through the steps of Vaidhi and then Raganuga and then Bhava Prema. So that's how. But there are Pushti Margis, It's not that they begin with Vaidhi Bhakti. No, they directly begin with Raga. There is no Vaidhi Bhakti sort of cultivation there. Some rules, regulations are there, but the Vaidhi Bhakti's particular aspect where you wait for certain Raganuga cultivation and you don't focus so much, and in Vaidhi you focus so much on knowledge. So both these elements are missing in a marg like Pushti Marg. And they would not so much focus on study of Shastra, and they would also cultivate or practice Raganuga right from the beginning. But this doesn't mean that their rag is awakened. No, awakening of rag will take time. So you may do practice of Raganuga, but that doesn't mean you are on the level of rag. So this is the point.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Is making sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, then to recognize a pure devotee, Prabhuji, it is a very difficult, means.
Yeah, it is difficult. Recognizing a pure devotee, that's a brew. It has to be, it takes one to know one, they say, right? So, especially if one is a premi bhakta, you can't put the criteria of knowledge also there. You have to put the criteria of only that full absorption in Krishna. That's how. So in order to judge that, one has to be himself also has to be very qualified, no doubt. We can tell about some symptoms from bhava, all those 9 reliable symptoms and all. But then to judge is difficult. You may tell theoretically, but how to judge? It's not that easy. So it has to be confirmed by other sadhus and guru who are at that level who can understand. Some basic things like Madhurya Kadambini helps us to understand, like symptoms of Nishtha level, where all those laya vikshep is gone. So you may be calling somebody as pure devotee, but if you see laya vikshep, kashaya, rasaswad is there, then we understand it's not a pure devotee. Consistently sleeping in japa is a sign of anartha not yet removed. So, consistently distracted in bhajan, kashaya, rasaswad, all these things. So that proves that one has not yet crossed anartha. So certain things can be understood, Prabhu, but especially realms of Raganuga, Bhava, Prema, they are difficult for us to judge. We may know some theoretical things, but so that's why it's best not to judge people.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So we should stop here, Prabhu. What Anand Vijay, Prabhu? Yes. In the end,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji,
we want to stop. Yeah, Danvad.
Prabhuji, in verse 22, in commentary, Acharya says that Balramji, he was tolerating Vivida. Immediately, he has not killed Vivida. So they tell there that there was some purpose Balramji wants to accomplish. Like that, it is mentioned. Verse number 22.
You tell me the exact words. What are they?
Just one line commentary is there. Verse number 22.
Yeah. Can you read it?
I'm not in front of computer. I came out.
Okay, just send me that line, bro.
Prabhuji has shared.
Okay, all of you read from English, and you want me to explain. So you have to show me the original words, bro. I mean, sometimes I have some concerns with the translations because they go a little bit off here. So 1067:22. Let me see it in the original file. Okay, bro. I'll just answer this looking at the Sanskrit file. It is taking time to open. So let me see in the Sanskrit file what is written. Based on that, I can answer. Okay. 1067:22. It's the words. So I would like to see in the original. Then I can tell you what it is. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, tomorrow's 11 o'clock will.
Yeah, tomorrow's chapter has, I think, around 40-50 verses. So tomorrow we'll start normal, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.